Alright, so today I'm going to talk about 7 major things in firmware. First, I'm going to show you where to get the firmware. Now, there's a link below in the description, but pretty much it's on the help site of Robo 3D. So the page looks like this on my screen right now. You'll just see Robo 3D firmware, and there are 3 links, pretty much, if you have one that's been manufactured after January. It's going to have M8 rods, it's also going to have auto leveling. So, the second question is, how do you open, edit, and upload the firmware to your printer? Well, that's using a program called Arduino. It's a free open source library, and you can use the link in the description below the other link in the description to download Arduino as well if you're looking to edit your firmware. On the competition video that I showed you, one of the things I noticed in the printer was that the auto bed leveling wasn't working properly. What had happened was that the z-axis was moving, and because this line was true, and I'll show you that on the computer right now, this line was true, and when this line's true, this allows the z-axis to do this. So it moves, and then as soon as the motors are disabled because they're not in use, they move backwards a little bit. And then they move. And they move backwards a little bit. And so if that continues to happen, it's not going to raise the z-axis in a very accurate manner, and you're going to have some under extrusion. So make sure you just change this true statement to false. Another one is changing the z-axis steps per millimeter. Now I don't recommend you change this from 2560, but if you do have it at 2560 and you did change that true statement to false, or it's still not moving where it needs to on the height, you can go to line 445, and right here where it says 2560, you can change this value. Now I don't recommend you change the value in an extreme manner, only move by maybe 5 or 10 steps until you get the right one you want. Don't try to calibrate it within a small margin. If you are calibrating it, make sure you're calibrating on a large scale. Next thing that really bothered me the most was getting a faster auto bed leveling speed. So the default value for this is 8,000, and so I changed it to 30,000. The raise before probing was originally at 15 millimeters. I changed it to 2. The distance between probings was 5 millimeters. I changed that to 2 as well. And that changes the slow, very aggravating auto bed leveling sequence from a very slow to a much faster state. I'll show you what that looks like right now. So with stock firmware and stock auto bed leveling, this is a G28 mixed with a G29. And with those 2 lines changed, this is a G28 with the G29 as well. Another thing you can change with the printer is getting quieter motors. And the way you can do that is by decreasing the acceleration so that when the printer is vibrating back and forth, essentially getting in like small crevices and stuff like that, it'll try to accelerate to both of those and never reach real max speed. And instead of going back and forth between these 2 points, it's easing between the 2 points, and it's not going to create as much noise. If it's in your room, I recommend you do that. I believe, yeah, that one's on line 449. And so default acceleration, 1500. You can move that down to 700, and you know what you just saw a second ago with the printer. So I'll upload this with just a 700, actually you know what, I'll go down to 500. and I'll show you what that looks like as well. So this is that same ridiculously fast auto bed leveling speed that was just on, this time with slower acceleration. So the acceleration's been cut down by 1,000. And so the last thing I'm going to show you how to do in your firmware is change your system to a dual extrusion system. And so that one's really easy. If you go over to your motherboard type, over in the Arduino software, you'll see it says ramps 1.3/1.4, and you'll see how the power outputs work. The first one is extruder fan bed. That's the one we're all default set at, and that's the one we all use. But you can change that up. You can go with an extruder and 2 fans, or you can also go with 2 extruders and a heated bed. You also can do 2 extruders and a fan if you wanted to, but it's just the way that the code works. So all you have to do is go down to motherboard and define motherboard 34 instead of 33. And then further down from there, it'll say define number of extruders, and you're going to change 1 to 2. So in Curry, you're also going to have to define with your machine how many extruders you have. So all you have to do is just go into Cura, go to machine, and then go to machine settings, and then where it says extruder count, you're going to change that to 2, and then hit OK. Because I don't actually have the dual extruders, I'm not really worried about calibrating it properly to the exact specifications. I just wanted to show you the programming side of it. Alright, so when your code is uploaded, go into the G-code terminal, and I'll show you on the printer what it looks like trying to print with 2 extruders. So on my printer, I've already put a new driver, and I use one of my spare Z-axis stepper motors, and I'm just showing you a little demonstration. So by default, extruder 0 is going to be the active extruder. So if I go to extrude and I say 10 millimeters, it's going to move my extruder 0 10 millimeters. But if I type into the G-code terminal T1, it'll change active extruder to extruder 1. And when I say extrude 10 millimeters, it'll move that motor 10 millimeters instead. And so all I have to do is move back and forth between T0 and T1, and I can control which one I'm moving when I want to move it. So I don't have this calibrated at all, mainly because I don't actually have it on an extruder, but this is showing you have the capability to put a dual extrusion on a Robo 3D printer, and it's as simple as changing 2 numbers in your firmware and changing 1 setting in your G-code terminal, and that's it. So to recap, you know where to get your firmware, how to edit and upload your firmware. You also know how to enable Z-axis stepper motors to run constantly. You also know how to change the Z-axis steps per millimeter. You know how to change the auto bed leveling to make it faster. You also know how to quiet your motors down, and you even know how to change your system to a dual extrusion. I sure hope this helps you with any questions you might have had with your firmware problems. If you have any more questions, leave them down below, and I'll try to answer them as fast as I possibly can. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more videos on the Robo 3D printer.